mean to be getting enough protein, and how's that going to benefit you? Well, you're going to have better energy, better sleep. You're going to have more stable moods. You're going to crave sugar less frequently, and you're going to have more muscle mass, which is, you know, partly where you're going to be getting your 10% more energy. So how much protein should you eat? Well, so the RDA says 0.8 grams per kilogram. Like, who knows how many kilograms they are. So thanks for that. But it works out to be about 8 grams of protein per 20 pounds of body weight. So I weigh about 175 pounds. I'm about 6 foot. I put on muscle mass. I work on that. So like you know, I need about 70 grams of protein in a day. But I can only absorb 20 of those grams per meal, which means I have to break it up into at least 3 portions for me to actually put that onto my muscle rather than onto my fat. Because sometimes people are like, oh, I ate a 10-ounce steak, and I'm like, awesome, 3 of those ounces are going to your muscle and 10 are going to fat. Your choice. So the other question that I get about is they're like, well, is this your ideal body weight or is it your actual body weight? Now, if you're like my friend Jim, who's 6'3" and close to 270 pounds and all muscle, I mean, I just can't even imagine how much protein he eats, like, right? And then there are some of us who are a little rounder than we would like to be, and we actually still want to eat our actual body weight because we want to put muscle mass back on. And often when people are struggling with weight issues, part of what they're struggling with is that they don't have enough muscle mass. Because what does a quick weight loss program do? Really, you lose a lot of muscle during a quick weight loss program. Now you have less muscle, less metabolic weight, which is why at least 1 billion people have proven that you quickly take it off, you quickly put it back on. So what do I do about this? So and you have a handout, this handout. You can either follow the PowerPoint or you can look at this. So one of the things that I have people do is this experiment where they eat protein every 3 hours. So they have a couple eggs for breakfast, and then whatever else they normally eat, they just get some protein in, great, handful of nuts for a snack. And then a deck of cards, which is 3 ounces of meat for lunch, and then a handful of nuts or cottage cheese for a snack, and then the same for that they had for lunch for dinner, like a deck of cards, vegetables, bread, sandwich, I don't care. We're adding protein, we're not taking out carbohydrates. Did everybody hear that statement? It's a really important statement. We're adding protein, we're not taking anything away from people. Right? And what I find is people consistently have more energy and mental clarity. So I was doing this training for mental health professionals, and a psychiatrist came to this, and he wanted to challenge every single point of physiology, and the therapists don't care. Like, they haven't had a biology class, since they were freshmen in high school. And finally I was like, Dr. Wolf, please, like, I will debate this to the detail, but you have to go home and eat protein for 3 days, every 3 hours, and you come back and you tell me that you don't feel better. And he's like, I'm not depressed, I'm not anxious, I don't have an energy problem. And I'm like, but you have an attitude problem. Go do it, and when you come back and you tell me that I'm wrong, then we'll debate. And he came back to the next class, he's like, yeah, I actually like my patients better at the end of the day. And I do better for them at the end of the day. And over the course of the next 9 months, he just kept it up. He didn't change anything else. He happened to be one of the lucky ones. He lost 50 pounds, and I got to go talk to his convention. It was a great deal for all of us. But, so, like, some of you are like, oh, I don't have a problem. Just give it a try. It's 3 days. And notice what your energy is. So the other concrete thing I would love you to leave with is lizard brain treats. Now, if you are a lawyer and you're in private practice or somewhere out here, or you are meeting with parents, like, please, for your own sake, have lizard brain treats. And what that is a top box of juice and a Trader Joe's bag of nuts. And when you sit down with a client or a parent and they're like, woo, woo, and you're like, juice, nuts, and you can just watch. In 10 minutes they go, and you're like, hi, we can now have a conversation. I've worked with a number of defense lawyers who have just decided to feed their clients at their own expense before all meetings because they're not as tired at the end of the day and they don't have to repeat themselves, right? So it's really important to have lizard brain treats. The other place that lizard brain treats are awesome to have is for those of you who know about 3 a.m. committee meetings. Because you want to put just a little bit of juice by the bedstand and a handful of nuts. And yeah, I know, you need to brush your teeth. I've talked to dentists, like, get the sleep. But the minute you wake up, have a little bit of juice, have the nuts, and generally speaking, at least 70% of the people that I work with go back to sleep within a half hour. So because your brain isn't panicked about food. The reason why we're doing a little bit of juice is first you have to tell the brain, here's some fuel, turn off the adrenaline system, and then you're backing it up with protein so it doesn't hit the button again in a half hour. Does that make sense? Okay. Really great to have around. Any questions about those experiments?
We talk about nutrition
Yeah.
quite a bit. What I often see are these bucket-sized energy drinks.
Yeah.
So any comments on those?
Yeah, you know, so caffeine, you don't want to drink caffeine or energy drinks after 2 o'clock because you're going to disrupt your sleep if you're over about 35. Sometimes young people can get away with it. The energy drinks, like, I think that they have a place, but only if you're doing your nutrition first. And nutrition is real food, right? And I feel the same, like I do, Kelly and I drank a protein shake before, because I was like, my body's going to be expecting a meal at noon, and I'm not going to give it. So I drank an old wallet protein shake before I started so that I would be fueled for this. I like protein shakes and protein bars as infrequently as possible as a backup plan. But you have to look and see how much protein's actually in them and that there's real sugar in them. I had a executive referred to me because she was going to quit her job because she told her coach that she was tired of crying every day. Like, this is a high-paid partner in a firm, and it was their crunch time, and she was about to walk away, which was not only going to cost her her salary, but there were penalties for that. But she couldn't deal with it anymore. And when I sat down with her, she had decided during this crunch time to lose weight, and was doing a protein bar, yay protein bar, that had no real sugar in it. It was carb-free protein bar because they were using artificial carbs. And I said, so basically your brain's going without glucose from dinner to dinner. And so her brain was just putting out large amount of adrenaline throughout the day, which is why she was crying hysterically, because like she had enough cognitive control to get her work done, but and not kill anyone, but she really wanted to run away. And we swapped out her protein bar for I like Zing bars. So we swapped out a Zing bar, and she didn't come to the next appointment. And she's like, I'm fine, gotta go, bye. And I was like, wow, like you were gonna quit your job because you were cheating your body, right? So I know that's not quite the story on the energy bars, but on the energy drinks, but people are doing the same thing with the energy drinks. Like those drinks are set up to hype you up, right? So you think that something's happening. This is the same thing with Diet Coke. Everybody knows a Diet Coke addict, right? And they're like, oh, I'm doing it for the caffeine. Go and look, there's not that much caffeine in it. But what they're smart about is phenylalanine and tyrosine, and so they're making your brain produce dopamine, which tells you you got something done. So every time you see somebody come to a boring meeting with a Diet Coke, basically they're getting their brain to say, we did something when nothing really happened. Other questions? Yeah?
How do you feel about low carbohydrate, high protein, high fat diets?
I love them. Not everybody should do them, right? Like I like paleo light. You know, I don't think you need to take out all your grains and all your you know, beans and really strict. Not everybody can do well on that. But generally, when people come into my office and first I put them on protein. I don't take anything out. Do you feel better with protein? Yay. And then the next thing, like if they want to tinker up their diet, I'm like, let's just take gluten out and see what happens. And then if they need to take something else out. But I like keeping as much in as possible and the most health, because food also connects people to community. And if you get too crazy about your diet, you don't have a lot of community. I mean, you may, but you're not going to do food with them, right? Other questions? Yeah.
I can only handle like a protein shake before I go to the gym or do like serious workout. I just can't handle food.
Perfect.
Yeah,
so what I have people do, that's not uncommon, and what I have people do is a protein shake, and they drink half before they go and half when they get in the car to go home, because it's nice to get some protein and a little carbs right after a workout. And so particularly early morning workout people, like it's really important to not work out not fueled, but you don't want to over fuel, so basically you're just putting enough in so that you burn what you ate. For those people who do Stairmasters and are like, oh, I burn 500 calories, like that's so dumb, that's not what you burn. Like they don't know how tall you are, they don't know how many years you've exercised, that's just dumb. The reason why you work out is so that you burn calories when you sleep. That's why you work out. Like the reason why you build muscle mass is so that when you are sleeping, when you are resting, there are lots of cells going, wow, we need fuel. Yep.
Just real quick, as to the 3 hours, every 3 hours for protein, how does that change, or does it change for youth, early, like younger children with, you know, their brain growth?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what's going on. Like, so it's every 3 hours, and then you see if it works, and then if it works, then you see if every 4 hours, and you kind of like titrate it to what happens for the person. For young kids, like if they're doing great, like, you know, people come in and they're like, I eat 1 meal a day, and I'm like, any anxiety, you see if every 4 hours, and you kind of like titrate it to what happens for the person. For young kids, like if they're doing great, like, you know, people come in and they're like, I eat 1 meal a day, and I'm like, any anxiety or depression, any fatigue? No. I'm like, I got nothing for you. I don't care if you eat it every 3 hours or not. I've had kids as young as 8 years old come in on antipsychotics, which means be psychotic, to have an 8-year-old prescribed an antipsychotic, and she ate protein every 2.5 hours and totally stabilized. So, you know, it kind of depends on what's going on.